Hi guys, my name is Borodante, and today I continue working on the final version of the biggest painting project I've ever had, the Black Widow. After going through over 4 versions, I restarted it once more, and this time I worked smart, starting with thumbnailing to find the best composition, using DIY perspective guides to find the correct camera angle and projection, and today I'll be working on the precise anatomical construction of the characters. Lots and lots of creepy children rushing to the mysterious Black Widow to feast on the raw meat. It's her husband. She killed another one of her husbands. And this video's sponsor is a new tutorial on Yiihuu.com. It's called Level Up Your Digital Painting Skills, Beginner to Advanced, and its author is an extremely talented and highly professional artist known as Fishman. I think his art style and skill level speaks for itself. He's got over 8 years of experience in the industry, including game design, comic books, and game cards and illustrations. Now, this tutorial is a huge one. I actually learned a lot and actually changed some of my perspectives on working with textures. You guys know I mostly use textures just as canvas textures. While in this tutorial, you'll learn how to use textures for actual textures of objects, imitating actual materials. And that's only a small part of it. There's also a huge section about photo bashing and matte painting. So Fishman is apparently very awesome at using photo bashing, using actual photo elements to complement the concept design of his characters. It looks pretty impressive. Aside from that, you're getting a whole lot of tips and tricks about using layers, blending modes, and generally the way you should set up your workspace in the real world and in Photoshop. Right now, this huge 31-hour tutorial costs just $49, and when it will be fully released, it will jump up to its real price of $109. So if any of you guys are interested, the affiliate link is in the description. Well, hello there. Welcome back to the Black Widow. I did some work in between the episodes, so right now you can see I prepared a new version of the sketch. It all started with using this new curved 1-point or 5-point perspective, where we have one of the vanishing points in the middle of the composition. I lowered it a lot, no more perspective from the pelvis of the Black Widow. I actually decided to lower it a lot, because that's the way you tilt the camera upwards, so we would see the ceiling and everything. That's how you do it, and that's how you make the Widow looking this way, like she's supposed to be a lot higher than we are. And we should be on the level of the kids. I think the best way to put camera in this composition is to make it one of the kids. And the curved perspective now actually makes sense. It's more logical, so around the horizon, the vertical lines, they will be actually vertical, as they should be. If we're looking at the horizon in this area, that means we're not tilted anywhere in this area. Another way to go would be the way we did in the previous composition. The only thing, I could go with just the vanishing point from the top and lowering the vanishing point over here instead of being pretty much in the middle, because having the vanishing point exactly in the center of the composition and then having another vanishing point like this, as some of you pointed out in the comments, and I totally agreed with you even while I was editing that previous episode, that this doesn't really work well, because everything that goes below the horizon, it sort of makes sense that it becomes smaller because it's, well, we're looking downwards if we're looking below the horizon there. And it does the opposite. It becomes bigger while we're looking at it from the top. It became like this huge old school 3D graphics distortion. The way you see in I don't know, Quake 3 or something, you know, these first person shooters where you can select a very strong field of view, so to speak. So that makes sense, but in real world, you don't really get that perspective unless you make a very wide angle shot and then use the lens distortion correction on top that makes all the lines straight instead of being curved, and that results in that same kind of weird look, that walls are straight where they actually shouldn't be. 3D world we're living in is a very weird place. For things to be correct, they needs to be bent when the walls are actually straight. it's a weird thing. That's why I decided to go with curved perspective, because I approached this picture as like a very big, elaborate composition where you can just have a separate look at the ceiling and feel like you're actually looking upwards, and then have a separate look at the bottom and have the feeling that we're looking at the bottom. So that's why we need this curvature, so the lines would go smaller like this and smaller like this as well. Okay? Okay. So that's the curved perspective, and I went with this kind of look. As you can see, I didn't really go crazy with trying to kind of zoom into the room to make it look bigger or something, because really lowering the vanishing point at the like almost the very edge of these huge windows kind of gives us the understanding that this is actually a huge room, since we're standing there and we're so low in that room. That means it's very tall and therefore wide as well, and deep and everything. Then I decided to go, some of you guys in the comments mentioned this kind of ceiling, this kind of roof, and I looked up some references. I don't know, can you guys at all see anything on this iPad? I'm using iPad just for references. In here, it has these like black bars of wood. I remember I found more references that were specifically this kind of structure. So I decided to copy that, and I think it's really cool. Imagine playing with this, having this whole nest stuff going on with holes, and how it may intersect and change back and forth in terms of what's on top of what. I think this will look pretty cool, especially rendering lighting in this. The holes are actually gonna be, in many cases, brighter than the outer side, so this part will be darker, and in here the hole will have more access to this light from the window, so there will be like translucent light going on. It may look really cool and especially play well with the whole idea of creating like this halo around the widow. It will actually be glowing with orange a little bit. Anyway, that's pretty much what I did in between the episodes. Yesterday I added the nest, and today I want to work on the characters. I think it's time. I'm gonna think through all the characters. I'm gonna use like a more precise line, and I will turn this quicker doodle that I did with no actual structure or anything into something more complex. Now, it's been a while since I actually constructed anything in a drawing, like anatomy specifically. I did the whole thing with the room, but anatomy is a different beast, so I'm kind of not sure. It feels like I should better start with sort of defining more precise silhouettes and then search for the anatomy inside of them. That way I'll be able to compose a lot of interactive characters. There's a lot of them, and they're touching each other, they're on top of each other in many cases here. And I think the best way to make sure I can really think everything through is first start with kind of like silhouettes. So that's my plan for now. Let's start and see what happens. It's kind of tough, like, to be honest, at this point, 6 months ago, I would already start working with colors and whatever, move on, because I don't do sketches, man. And I think with complex pictures like this is my problem. I should approach the stuff better. I should understand that if I'm trying to make something as complex as I can, that means I could use all the help I can get. So yeah, we really should build things first. Trying to go precise, but please don't consider this video as like a tutorial on anatomy, because no, I'm so not qualified. This is just something I need to be doing. The more practice I get in art, the more I understand how my ambitions about anatomy are way beyond my capabilities. Like, I constantly draw complex anatomy at complex angles and I fail miserably. But that's what it is. So I was trying to make sure that, like, at first I sort of drew it like this, and this clavicle was going upwards. Then I realized, what am I doing? We're looking from the bottom, and that shoulder is going away, so the whole thing should be like that, you know? Maybe even stronger, like the line of the clavicle is correct, but this thing is too high still. Okay, not that bad. I don't know, it feels like she's really buff, swole, but at the same time, like when I'm actually detailing on top of these really thick old lines, I'm choosing like the slimmer side of them, and that changes everything. Like, it's just about those little tweaks is what makes this arm either being really buff, like huge, or more of a slim. Actually, I don't think I want to go with like too slim of a body. This a bit of a buff look kind of feels like something interesting. You know, this default Victorian woman, whatever, like, we've seen it a million times, but when it's like this, it feels a bit more interesting, like something new at least. Plus, she's supposed to look like, you know, a strong mother. Maybe that's a way to go. I don't know about the belly, man. This is the toughest part because I have no idea, and try to find references of someone pregnant twisting like that exactly. No one does that. By the way, the review on this thing is coming next week, I think, so look forward to that. Well, that's a hilarious stare. Should probably, like, close her eyes a little bit, like she's doing the rolling a little bit. I want to add some freaky stuff. I don't want to just go epic. It's not what The Widow is about. Man, I'm listening to the soundtrack from Tenet, and it's so intense. Nostrils. So, did I do the neck too long again, as I always do? I probably did, didn't I? Let's give it a go with shortening that. The nose, it should actually stick out of the face. Something that's always kind of hard to visualize at this kind of angle. You don't want to think about the fact that at this angle, the nose might cover the eye. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, let's say the widow is more or less defined. I will probably have to fix a lot of things later on, but for now I wanna do that thing with the silhouettes for the kids. That was a lot of time. Oh my god, it's been 2 hours already. I don't know, I had no idea about time. This was kind of cool. Just taking my time, thinking through each character. They're far from perfect, but they definitely give me some idea on where I'm going. There's more guys in the background. I'll probably add, there's like a pair of dudes, this one, and one is on top of the other. There's actually more stuff like that somewhere in the background as well. So yeah, I'll add that part, and that will cover pretty much the whole bottom part of the picture. And honestly, that further background part, that I could totally search in colors right away. That's more of an abstraction thing. This guy is important, and a couple of guys swinging on some kind of cobweb from the ceiling. These we shouldn't forget about as well. And yeah, that will be the main part of the picture actually transformed into a detailed sketch. From that, we'll be able to move on with actual colors. Not colors, black and white painting. I'm still sticking with that idea that we'll be working from these spots right here. Generally, by the way, like with that whole abstraction, I will probably be adding like a guy in here and another one behind him. Like those guys, they don't matter that much as the ones that are in front, so those will be added later just as an abstraction. But let's finish a little bit of extra stuff going on over here, and that'll be it for today. Alright, this is it. Can't say I nailed these two guys. Looks like they're more wholesome than anything. It's not like one is crawling on top of the other, just standing next to him. So maybe I'll change that in the future. I like the way the Black Widow turned out to be. The face is really different like the head, but that's because in this original quick doodle, the head is actually super stretched. It makes no sense. We can see so much under the chin and then the full height of the face. So I'm happy I actually fixed that, because that shouldn't be like that. The face should compress when it looks upwards. I can't say it's perfect, but I think it's closer to being normal. Yeah, I'll see what else I can do with, maybe I'll fix something if I'll see that I don't like something in the nearest future, and we'll probably add this kid and this floating one, and the rest is pretty much taken care of already. That's the way I'm approaching this so far, at least. Man, this is like an incredibly complex picture. Duh. But like how do you work with this? It really requires like development of the approach. Like how do you, if I would go ahead and detail super carefully each kid with blocking in of the rib cage and everything, man, it would look a lot worse than this. Maybe it would be more precise in terms of anatomy, but the poses would be so unfortunate and wrong, like worse than they are here. They're wrong anyway, but they would be much worse because I would be so much involved in internal structure of the kids instead of thinking about the way they actually should be around, positioned. So yeah, I found some kind of middle ground in a way that I was kind of detailing them, but mostly just the head, and the rest was taken care of more like as a silhouette thingy, just, you know, drawing it right away. I mean, the fact that they're wearing these huge nightgowns really helps, because I can just go ahead and just do a bunch of wrinkles and it kind of works out. If this works for the actual painting in the future, only one way to find out. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Looking forward to what will happen next with this composition, and looking forward to your comments. Tell me guys what you think. If you have some ideas, what to improve, maybe what to add, I don't know. just the kids standing around, but really that's what it should be. Probably feels like it needs a bit more interaction. They're at least looking at each other, stuff like that, but no one's really touching anybody anyway. Like the only two guys that I added in the end, those kind of interact, but they feel really awkward about it. No one else is touching each other. Why are we touching each other, kind of thing. But yeah, this is it. Thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! It feels so weird. It's such a forgotten feeling of like doing something precisely for a while in stages. I usually don't work like that at all. On iPad it was mostly just do the colors right away. But in here it's like really with this layout, with this sensitivity, like the surface of the tablet, you really feel like you can go more precise. And that's a very interesting thing to discover and to research.